Guys.
Good news.
Hot news. Guess what? The show is moving to Patreon. While some of you guys are watching here on YouTube, guess what? You're getting a censored version.
Yeah,
you're not getting the raw.
You're gonna get one episode
man-on-man action that we're doing over there on Patreon.
Hold on.
What?
Man-on-man.
What?
Let me explain. You guys will get this censored feed, one episode for free on YouTube for sure. But just remember, because it's YouTube, we've got to be very careful.
Yeah, we all watch our words.
You'll get that uncensored episode.
Man.
And you'll get a free episode, another episode.
You'll get
2 episodes on Patreon for $5 a month. Only $5 a month. That's visual and audio at patreon.com/aka Deep Waters. Patreon.com/aka Deep Waters. $5 a month. You'll get the uncensored episode that goes out on YouTube every week, plus an additional episode that can only be seen on Patreon. And we've got some other plans for you. For that $5, you'll be getting other bonus content that we're excited about, possibly even another show. We don't know yet.
And Bryan's feet. He's going to be doing some feet work.
No.
What?
I'll be doing some feet work. No? All right.
Okay.
But either way, guys, patreon.com, $5 a month. We're moving over. We've made this choice. We're proud of it. We're excited about it. Moving over, patreon.com/aka Deep Waters. You get the uncensored episode you see for free on YouTube every week. And you'll get a bonus episode that you can only see behind the paywall.
Let's go.
$5 a month. Let's rock and roll. Let's keep this party going because I love it.
Bang.
This is an exciting show.
We're excited. You're excited.
We call it Deep Waters, but you guys know what it is.
Yeah.
AKA Deep Waters.
Hit that URL again, baby.
Hit that. Patreon.com/aka Deep Waters.
I'm going to eat. I'm hungry.
Facts.
Yeah, but Sam can't understand. Sam can't accept that not all evil is caused by the CIA and Mossad. Sam can't understand that there are other countries that have their way of doing things too. Okay. So, like, Sam thinks that every bad situation is because of the CIA and Mossad. Literally, he blames everything on that, and he traces it all the way back to the people that killed Jesus, I think.
Bang!
So that's literally what he says.
Oh my God!
I mean, that is Sam's insane
You totally
logic.
got it.
Yeah, I know I did.
When people ask, is everything a conspiracy? The answer is yes.
Who and what is controlling everything and why? They practice sorcery. I can't argue against magic.
I don't know what it is that we live on, but I believe it's a realm. This realm that we live in is the lowest level of heaven, highest level of hell.
Chicken snake gods and the Anunnaki and sorcery. If Sam says the chicken and snake god is running everything, I'm literally in the world of crazy. I'm winning.
You're losing.
Conspiracy Social Club, aka Deep Waters. Yeah, we're in it. We're in it. That's the new. We're in it.
Dylan is back from vacation. Yeah. He's wearing a hat with a croissant.
Yeah, which I do dig. I do dig it. But Dylan is dressed.
What is the point of that? You have a piece of bread on your hat.
Yeah.
But why are you wearing that? What is it? Where's it from?
Do you get a discount?
It's annoying.
On coffee in hipster land where you live?
Yeah, it's from the Dominic Ansel workshop. I went in there and just explored their confections.
From the Dominic Incel workshop?
Ansel.
Sorry.
May as well be the Incel.
No. He's
what do you mean the Dominic, where you learned how to make croissants?
No. I didn't learn. I just went in and I got some pastries and I liked.
But dude, do you understand where he lives? Like, that hat has like social credit for him. Like, when he walks into a coffee shop, they're like, oh, they give him the wink and they give him the special coffee.
Yeah.
Right? That's like nerd dork stuff.
Is that do they make amazing croissants?
Yeah. He's like one of the best bakers in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, and you were in New York.
Yeah, I went to New York. The big cheese.
And you bought that hat. You said, I want a hat with a piece of bread on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're talking about me. We have so much
Well, I mean, it's
stuff
annoying.
to get
So what
into,
did you do on your vacation? You've been gone for a week.
Yeah.
And you were you kept saying I'm up in the woods. I don't have any internet connection, which is of course a lie because nowhere you could go in the world. Yeah. Would you not have internet connection?
You were somewhere where they sell croissant hats and you didn't have the internet.
Did you go to the 90s? Did you go back to the 90s?
Yeah.
Well,
were you hanging out with the Amish?
In a way, I mean, I went to Appalachia, the Blue Ridge Mountains for 5 days, so there's not really any service up there.
And what'd you do in those mountains?
Yes, there is. Hold on. Yeah, there is.
If you have U.S. Cellular, there is, but I have AT&T.
They have AT&T there too. You're
they
not
do.
being honest.
I have friends in the Appalachians. They have AT&T.
Don't tell me that the Blue Mountains of Appalachia. It's not. They're not making their own butter. Do they churn their own butter?
Blue Ridge Mountains. Okay. But when I was in New York, we went to an interactive theater show called Sleep No More, and everybody had to wear masks.
Hey, when you were in the Appalachian Mountains, were you afraid to tell everybody you were a Jew?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and on the day of jihad in New York, 7 Hasids got on the subway, and I was like, "Can you guys not be next to me?"
Yes. Yeah.
But I support you, my Jewish brethren. But can you go away?
What part of you is the Jewish? Is it your left leg, right arm? Green.
Brain and back hair.
Okay, perfect. Bryan, good to see you, bro. I mean, a week I was away from you and I was having withdrawals.
Yeah, it was a long time.
It was a long time. I don't want to go that long.
I check in with you periodically.
I love you. By the way, I called you. Okay, I called you.
You did call me. You did call me, and I should have called you.
No, it's fine.
Everything went by in a blur. Today went by in a blur. You called me. I didn't get your call.
I called you.
I got a text. I don't think you called me.
No, I did call Bryan. Bryan, do I have to go to the evidence?
Is there AT&T in LA or what?
But Bryan, I love you, and when I don't see you, I live vicariously through you through your Instagram.
Oh yeah,
which is just you and shiny object people. Can we say, am I your most unattractive friend?
Why?
Do I have the weirdest angles out of all your friends?
No,
you have symmetrical friends.
Who are they?
Just every picture you take is at some ball fundraiser with shiny people who look like they fart cotton candy. That's all your friends look like they fart cotton candy.
They do.
Like it smells better.
I have to see when I make a friend, I have to see their bank account and their family tree.
I respect that.
And then I have to have some instrumentation to take a look at how symmetrical their face and body is.
For sure.
That's very important to me.
Do you just take a piece of paper, go one side, other side?
Yeah,
one side.
Yes, and almost the first thing I ask is, "What is your skin regimen?"
Yeah,
and if it's not highly disciplined, then we can talk.
Do you just go to parties where they have essential oils for you to rub on yourself as you talk business?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you asked, because really a lot of essential oils come from the diet that you actually take in.
Okay.
So the food you take in is really going to make the big difference.
I'm not doing well on that. No. I've been working so hard that I only eat late night. Daddy's a fat ass.
Oh, is that right?
Daddy's a fat ass.
Yeah, at nighttime is when the demons come. But Daddy decides I always picture a junkyard dog. I want the ribs on me. When I talked to a guy, I was going to go buy an American Bulldog. And he's from the South a long time ago. And he said, well, Bulldog gets his heart from the pit bull. That's why he'll fight and take the fight to you. And I said,
by the way, did this sound like the people you talked to at the Appalachians asking if you were a Jew?
May as well be.
No, they have a more Vietnamese kind of tongue of Southern. It's more nasally and high.
There you go. And I said to him, I said, what do you feed him? And he goes, well, I'm a little different. I'm a little old school. You know, I tend to keep the ribs on my dogs.
Now, are you whittling while you're doing this conversation?
He just said, I keep the ribs on my dogs. I keep the ribs on them. Keeps them sharp, keeps them mean. And, sometimes I just leave a bone kind of out and right outside their kennel. Just they can't reach it, but it gets them angry. I went, damn, this guy. That's how. And I thought to myself, well, I'm about to be a junkyard dog.
Yeah.
I got to keep.
Why were you talking to the guy that worked in the bathroom so long?
Listen, I'm not done. Okay. There are two seminal moments in my life. One was that, and then when I read Rikki Tikki Tavi by Rudyard Kipling as a young boy, I remember that Rikki Tikki Tavi wouldn't eat too much because he had to keep himself lean, because his reflexes mean everything when fighting Nagina and Nag, the cobras.
Respect, bro.
And if you are a little fat, you understand?
Yeah.
If you're fat and the cobra rears up and you got to take him out, it's all about your reaction time. And please understand,
dude,
I'm a fucking man goose.
Okay.
I'm a man goose.
There's an old saying in Armenia. It's the fat rat gets the fang.
The fat rat gets the fang?
Yeah. No, I just made that up, but it sounded pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It sounded really good, right?
Fat rat gets the fang is great.
Right.
I don't think there are a lot of mongoose and Cobra in Armenia, but I might be wrong.
There might be, bro.
Might be a little cold.
Yeah, so it's good to see you guys. I missed you.
Your thoughts on the state of the world? Your thoughts
Do you guys
on...
want to hear about my interactive theater experience?
No. Sounds so boring to me. It sounds so boring. Sorry.
I'll hear it. All
right, go ahead.
Let's hear it because there's going to be some talk about Israel. We know his panties going to get in a bunch, so let's go.
You couldn't talk in it, and you wore masquerade masks, and you couldn't say a word.
What?
I thought it was.
You went to some Eyes Wide Shut stuff?
Yeah. And I walked into a room, and then drum and bass started playing, and strobe lights hit. The kind of strobe lights that trigger an epileptic fit.
Oh, that's really weird. Did they warn people that?
They did not.
That's
then,
weird, dude.
2 naked women and 2 naked men walked out.
What?
A woman screamed holding a baby. A guy put a goat head on, and they lifted her up, and they poured blood all over her.
Oh, was this at the Box?
I don't know.
Where was
this? Downtown in New York City?
I think so. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
That sounds like it was probably
Did you fuck some weird shit?
Were you sitting down?
No, I was walking around a giant warehouse the whole time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And people were just naked with babies?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know how I like that.
Yeah. Was there any
who are you, bro?
There wasn't sex, but there was a lot of dick and a lot of tit.
A lot?
There was a good amount.
And what was the artistic relevance to all that? What were they trying to portray with all this dick and tits?
Yeah. Something about Shakespeare.
With dick and tits.
But yeah.
And what time this happened and why was that baby up? Was it a real baby?
No, it was a fake baby.
Okay, it was a fake baby.
But it was covered in blood by the
way. Yeah. I mean, where are you going to? Who threw this? Maria Baranovich?
No, but we should talk about stuff like her.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a Satanist now? I mean, you were a communist, which is a quick step to Satanist.
Well, I've always been a Satanist because John Milton told us that we were goldfish before Satan came along and
John Milton
curiosity.
wrote. And John Milton wrote. Sam. John Milton wrote.
Paradise Lost.
Oh, I thought it was that Jack and Diane song.
Okay.
Little did Jack and Diane.
Great song.
Yeah.
Little ditty about Jack and Diane.
Two American kids
growing up in the heartland.
Yeah, that song. I thought did he write that too?
What was that?
I'm surprised you don't play that character a lot. Because that seems to be like in your where you just go through your Rolodex of characters. You're like John Cougar Mellencamp.
Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill.
Oh, living is gone. Real cool.
Chicago Improv. I'll see you this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then I'm at Good Nights in Raleigh, North Carolina, November 9, 10, and 11.
Wow.
Then I'm in Yuck Yucks in Calgary after that. I'm excited. All right.
I'm excited for you. You're doing great things.
I'm doing the best I can, buddy.
Bryan, you're doing great.
You and I were talking about this. You go through these phases and you're like,
hey, I got dates.
If this could just work out. Yes, you're going to be at the Los Angeles
Last night, Comedy Chaos was great. Again, I was in a ton of figure. Ended up being great. Indianapolis, I'm going to be with the prophet Eddie Bravo and Xavier Guerrero. I'm going to be there on the 3rd of November. St. Louis, Heliums. The 4th, Bellflower. I am playing the stand-up comedy show. Everybody says this is the greatest club ever. I'm so excited about going there. And then Dallas. And then, Dallas.
Austin Vulcan Gas Company.
Yep.
Nice. So you were talking about something we should talk about before we get into that. Okay. You were talking about how you stress out like we all do about things not working out, and then things end up being fine.
Yeah, I mean, fine
I go
for
through
me.
this.
They'd probably be like D-Day for you, but
I was
it's fine for me.
I was just going through that today. I was just going through the things I worry about, and thinking about hustling for the next.
I'm going
20
through,
years.
and I'm going to butcher this, an
Got it.
crisis.
Yeah. Existential crisis.
Yeah, I'm going through that right now.
In what
comedically,
sense? Oh, yeah.
Comedically, like,
yeah.
I want to say something. I think comedy is amazing right now. I'm so happy. I'm seeing so many comics blowing up, but the comedy is so simple, digestible, that it's now making me question my whole existence.
Yeah.
So that's where I am right now. And
it's easier to get famous and make lots of money and get a lot of attention with comedy and not not at the same standard you and I came up with, I think.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I've been talking a lot about this to people that anyone will listen. By the way, there were some young comics. It was so hilarious to me, and I was just like, okay. So there's a couple of young comics in the show last night. They were doing development spots, and I pulled this one person aside. Not gonna say who they were, and because I thought they were very funny, and I started giving this spiel to them that I've given to people, Brian, that when they listen to me, they've made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
This person act like I was wasting their time. I was like, oh, you're not going to listen while I'm, okay, good luck,
Yeah,
bye.
They'll learn.
Bye-bye.
Comedy will teach you.
She goes, thank you for all that. I go, okay, bye-bye. But anyways, so I had this moment, Brian. I was watching I'm trying to find something on television I love. My mother and my aunt are here to see my grandchildren. My mother finally met her grandchildren. It was the greatest thing ever. It was such an amazing. But now I have to watch cooking television shows all the time on my jumbo screen I bought.
Yeah.
Like I'm going, Daddy's got I'm going to get an 85 incher. Okay. Anyways, so I'm watching. There's nothing on TV I can watch, so I go on Disney Plus. I'm watching the all-female Jedi show. Okay, I'm watching it, and there's this scene where they have to go. Her and like this waif model Boba Fett Jedi hybrid. Like she couldn't weigh more than 100 pounds. They have to go and battle the big bad guy who is so Elon Musk. They've made this guy Elon Musk. If you watch this, go, oh, you're just trying to make. You're just making Elon Musk the bad guy. Like the whole autistic thing, talk like this, everything like that. This guy's Elon Musk. So they go to the battle this guy. On this far distant planet, there's a male Jedi who lives there. He lives there. He's got these weird horses and everything, right? So they're battling the guy. The guy takes off. They got to chase him. So they get on these horses, right? And these weird looking like anteater horses. And they're riding, right? So they do the iconic scene where they kind of come over the ridge and you see them. So you have Ro Dawson, is that her name? From Rosario Dawson, is that her name?
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, gorgeous. She's cool. The main Jedi. She's on her horse. And then on the other horse, the Boba Fett female Jedi is riding
her up.
And the guy from the planet who rides the horses all the time is riding bitch behind them. And I sat there and I go, why is he riding bitch right there? And then I got why you can't press these crowds anymore.
Not her, the other one.
The other one. Why? Because
this is why Disney's not doing well.
Well, the minute you get somebody to think, you take them out. So that's why now all the comedy, and listen, I love everybody. I want everyone to cash checks and be the big success. But that's why the minute you get people to think, it takes something off the fastball. Where is she? That one right here. Yeah. She couldn't be more. And she's like a Boba Fett ass kicker.
Oh, that's
and
so hilarious. Yeah. Well,
she weighs 100 pounds.
If women ran the world, nobody would ever have ridden a bull. Nobody would have ever had.
You know who would never work?
A motorcycle. Nobody would have ever gone to the moon.
And you know who would never work? Other women.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many chicks are like, oh, I had someone with her 10 years ago. She won't let go.
They don't talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Women are so hard on each other. But also, like, men are willing to die to be significant. They'll take the biggest risks on the planet. They do the crazy shit. It's why they die all the time. Way more than women. And it's like, but that also, the flip side of that is you get the goodies.
Yeah.
You get crazy shit like parkour. You get inventions like the BMX.
Yeah.
You get inventions like the X Games.
Hold on. Did you list BMX as one of the great inventions?
You get at the X Games, you get like the crazy shit.
Yeah.
It always starts as a good old boys club. That's what the internet was. That's what fucking computers are. The good old boys network. They're just a bunch of nerds in a garage.
But do you understand what I'm saying about comedy? It's like the minute comedy you make people...
comedy was started by what? A bunch of dudes.
The only place that, like, that's why I think Austin's so interesting.
What's the matter? I'm not saying women can't be hilarious. I'm saying...
There's some funny-ass women out there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
So, no, I rebuke that. Hey, guess what? Give me this. Guess what, Dylan?
Uh-oh.
You get a yellow card.
No, you can't. You can't yellow card the judge. Hey, Dylan, well, let's go through. You were about to bring something up. Let's get into a conspiracy or at least something that's going on in the world. World's on fire. Let's see what you were going to show us.
Yeah, let's talk about Israel and not how much you guys fucking hate chicks.
I know. I love chicks.
I love
that was not the point of that whole discussion.
It sounds like you were talking about.
No. Okay, so this is Netanyahu's map of how he sees the world. What do you think about that map, besides the fact they used a eggplant as...
Well, that is true. In other words, that's the sliver of Israel. That is the sliver that is the Jewish homeland compared to the body of the mass of a lot of that's desert.
Is there anything on there that makes you kind of think it's weird?
Is there anything on there that makes it weird?
Is there anything on that map that makes you wonder where if something's missing or any of that stuff?
Well, you're going to say there's no Palestinian state there?
Yeah.
Well, I think what he's doing there is he didn't include the West Bank in that map. If I'm looking at that
Thoughts,
map properly.
Dylan, on that? You can see the map better than us.
So can I just say something?
Yeah.
I don't think he was showing the Gaza Strip. It used to belong to Egypt and now belongs to the Palestinians, and he wasn't showing the West Bank. So that was the sliver that Israel is technically considered the owner of, right?
Okay.
So, now, yeah. So I think that's kind of what he was doing to try to highlight. See, the interesting thing about the Promised Land that I always that thing that's interesting is God gave the Jews the Promised Land. The problem is with the Promised Land is there are zero resources on it. It's like, hey, God, could you have given us Saudi Arabia or somewhere with oil? You gave us literally sun-baked earth.
Such an interesting
and not only
right?
that, with no water. I mean, when you go there, you're like, it was swamp and desert, and there was no, like to this day, there's zero natural resources. When you go to Israel, they grow dates, and that's kind of all that grows. And what they had to do is now they're somewhat of an agricultural powerhouse because they had to figure out a way to get irrigation and water.
By the way,
they drained the swamps with eucalyptus trees, which they brought in from Australia.
Is Bryan Callen the only person who gets irritated by dates? Did you see that? He's like, dates.
I like dates, but that's hard to make your living on dates.
Okay.
You know what? Israel's far and away the what Israel is the leader in? Startup companies, tech startup. So technologically, their tech industry is apparently far and away bigger.
I think they encourage people to move there and do that. So, Bryan, where do you want to start on this? I think
what's important is the like in any situation like this. I think what's important is understanding and highlighting the meaningful difference. Not that this is the same, but what is the difference? So, what is the difference, for example, between? So I don't get in. Yeah, if you'll always notice I don't talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And I think part of it.
I was just telling him about that.
I think
it's
part of it's because I think if I was Palestinian, I'd feel one way. If I was Israeli, I'd feel another. And so I don't think my point of view, insofar as I have one, is going to help. I believe that the Palestinians deserve a homeland. I believe they deserve a state. I do think that a lot of Palestinians, I know a lot of Palestinians were absolutely dispossessed of their land. And that legacy remains. We can get into all of that. What I like to kind of highlight and talk about is when you come over a border, regardless of what's going on in your, you can call it an open air prison and stuff like that. There's no doubt that when the Palestinians voted in Hamas, and Hamas's charter said, essentially from the land to the sea, that the Israelis decided, we're going to punish them. We're going to seal this off, right? We can get into what that's about and what that created. Half the population in Gaza is unemployed. We can go into all of that. I think that's what's important is to draw the line on any kind of barbarism. So if you do come across a border and you kill entire families and you do all the things that we read about, I think we have to put that, no matter who does it, into a special context, and we have to go, this cannot stand. This has to be looked at in a vacuum separately.
Okay.
And because you hear a lot of people say, wait a minute, let's talk about
saying.
the context. Let's not talk about context when you come in and kill entire families. I think,
but Bryan, I don't know who you're talking about when you say I kill entire family. Are you talking about Hamas or are you talking about Israel?
So here's another question. Here's another weird thing about Hamas.
But who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Hamas.
What?
In this situation on October 7th. So Hamas, here's the other thing about Hamas. So when we say Hamas, you got to remember that Hamas is not this unified group. Hamas has a political wing, a military wing. They have sort of a financial wing in Qatar.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that certain militias, militias control different sections of Gaza that don't really, they're always a little bit, then you have Islamic Jihad, you have a lot of things in Gaza. So when you say Hamas, I'm telling you that the political wing that they're on Israel's hit list, including the people in Gaza, they don't tell the military wing what to do. There's also a very good possibility that this small military wing that was in cahoots with Iran to scuttle the Saudi Arabian deal probably worked in such secret that the other factions of Hamas didn't know this.
Okay.
So now,
Bryan, I think there is some validity to that.
Yeah.
I do believe there could be some validity to that.
Can I say one more thing?
Okay.
There is also probably intelligence that is saying that the Hamas soldiers that came in to kill and do their thing, I guess there may have been other parties that came through that fence that wreaked havoc in a way that was not the plan for Hamas.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying, Bryan. Okay.
Yeah.
When you take a look at like Western political and military actions, you know, there is a precedence, Bryan, and this is where you and I may never be able to come to agreement, because you have this kind of good guy bad guy thing, right? And like there's this inability for you, no matter how hard I pound your ass. And I pound hard.
You pound.
And I make you look in the mirror and look me in the eye as I just crush you, okay?
Yep. At least it's not face to face.
Yeah, right. So I just try to get you that, like, sometimes things happen that allow for a heavy-handed response. And I know that's really hard for you to understand or want to accept, because it's like we can really agree that Nazis bad, KGB bad, ISIS bad, Al Qaeda bad. But what a lot of people can't come to grips with is that the people that we believe are working to protect us, that we vote in as leaders, would ever set us up to elicit an emotional response, which allows them to do in turn a military heavy-handed response. Okay, it is you. I mean, what you are not getting on the internet right now is the understanding that the world is turning against Bibi. They're turning against him because
the world already was.
There's a lot of people who go, why didn't the IDF get there? Why did it take them 5 hours?
Yeah, he won't survive this. His
He's not. But the world is turning right now, and like I have to watch my words, because my girlfriend's Jewish, her family I love with all my heart. They've shown me nothing but kindness.
Yeah.
So when you have this discussion, you have to have you have to watch what you say. But here's all I want to say is, like, dude, we keep hearing how this is the greatest intelligence and the greatest military. And this gets into my whole thing about the inverted world we live in. We get told one thing, and I think it's the exact opposite. And I'm just not going to even focus on that. What I am focusing on is people like Ben Shapiro, who have almost tried to blackmail us into sending military support, because Israel is a civilian army, meaning that all the civilians have to serve. They don't want to go to war. They don't want to lose it. They want us to go in there and fight that war. And people have no clue what World War III means. And it is going to be like something they've never seen before. And it's like all these people on the internet just acting like nothing's happening and not saying anything. It's like, my kids are 3. My kids are 3 years old. This war is going to have to go forever before I'm worried about them getting drafted. This is real shit that Bibi's doing to save his ass.
Okay, but so I grew up, again, I lived in the Arab world for 8 years of my life. I grew up around Palestinians. I had very dear friends. My family had very dear friends that were Palestinian. I grew up with primarily hearing the Palestinian point of view and the Arabic point of view. I'd only been to Israel when I was, this is 3 months ago. But most of my life was among the Arabs. I love the Arabs. I've had nothing but great experience with the Arabs. I wish more people understood how great their food was, how great their culture is, how great they are as a people. But I also studied the history of the Jews, and I studied in college. I focused on that, and when people, so I'm again, that might be one of the reasons I tend to be quiet around this issue, because I believe that
it's a hard issue.
Well, it's a hard issue because I believe that after World War II, when 6 million plus Jews were killed, and there was, or whatever number you want to put to it, there were the wretches of Europe who were primarily Jews who had nowhere to go, finally came to quote unquote the promised land, and there really wasn't any other option. What I think is significant is, and we have to be careful of these narratives. You hear a lot of narratives from West saying Israel's a colonialist power. I reject that. I reject that only because the Israelis that came, the Jews that came to Israel, who revived the dead language called Hebrew, were not a colonial power. They had been destroyed by, in fact, European powers, especially Germany. And so they came, and in less than really 2 years, 3 years, 5 Arab nations attacked them as soon as Britain, and I think the United Nations, declared them a state.
Yeah, I agree.
Brian. And then it happened again in 67, happened again in 73. Right. So you have to also keep those things in mind. It was, I mean, there are stories, and this is very true, when the remnants of World War II, the Jews who were there, and they had this new state, and they were trying to build it. When they found out that the 5 countries, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and all these, and Egypt came after them, were closed in on them, they were digging graves for their own family members. People don't know this.
Okay, I understand that, Bryan.
So the miracle of in the Jewish mind of being able to survive those 3 wars is very powerful.
I get that, Bryan, and I love you very much. But it's like when you're talking about October 7th and the slaughtering of families, and then we look at the numbers, and like the Palestinians are people. They are people. They have children.
Yes.
Like we have children.
Yeah.
They have children. These children are dying.
I went to the West Bank.
50% of the population is under 18.
Yeah, no, so I went to the West Bank. We have to keep
that in mind when we talk about a lot of this stuff. If you're asking me, a lot of this is about the Temple Mount. This is what it's about. They want to rebuild the temple. Okay, this is biblical stuff. And we can go all the way back to whose land is this, and this has been the fight forever, okay?
Isn't it interesting, though? Isn't it interesting when you say the Temple Mount? So it's really interesting about the Temple Mount, really quickly. Do you know what the significance of the Temple Mount is? Do you know why the temple was built there?
It's where Abraham tried to
where God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son.
By the way, we talked about this earlier. You ever feel bad about yourself? Just read Genesis reading what a bunch of misfits.
Oh my God,
everybody was.
Oh my God,
and you're like, wow, I'm not that. Oh, I had a drug problem. Not really doing that bad.
Yeah.
I would be crushing it in biblical
to the
times.
point where God said, I don't like the human beings I've created, and ushered in a flood.
And
Noah was the only one. But here's what's interesting about Islam versus Judaism, just so everybody knows. So Abraham had 2 sons.
Yeah.
Ishmael was the first son that he conceived. So when Sarah said, I'm barren, have a kid with our maid.
Which is another crazy story.
Have a kid with the maid. He has a kid, that's Ishmael. Ishmael is 13 years old. Suddenly Sarah prays to God, and she conceives at 80 years old. So Isaac was the miracle baby. She conceives at 80, she gives birth, and now Sarah goes, I got my own kid.
Yeah,
this is my miracle baby. And she
goes,
I don't want this fucking kid or this maid in my house. Get him out of here. So Abraham sort of banishes Ishmael and his mother.
Yeah.
And she almost dies, by the way. But God gives him gives her water, a well, shows her a well, and says, you will form a great people yourself. You and your son will form the other side of Abraham's lineage, which is the Arabs.
Gotcha.
In the Quran, the story is not that God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. In the Quran, who does God ask Abraham to sacrifice? Ishmael.
Oh, crazy.
Isn't that interesting? So that's why when the Ottomans built the Al-Aqsa Mosque,
yes,
it would be, you guys build your temple to Isaac, but no, this is actually where Ishmael was. And that is a major divide.
So that's some crazy stuff. Yeah. But if you get into that, this is the uncomfortable. We're not going to go deep in because Bryan can't take it, but we're going to, if we get into Noah, his sons, okay, we start having, by the way, it's like so interesting. So there's this people that put out the map of Adam and Eve and all the kids. And then like Adam and Eve had like a bunch of kids and that nobody even talks about. Like a bunch of them. They you can see it on this map. I'll show you sometime.
Well, the first kids they had were who? Cain and Abel.
Well, and then there's so dude, there's so many interest. I love it. It's so interesting. But the whole point of that is like, if we study Noah's kids and the lineage and everything to these elites and to religion is bloodlines. If you study them, Bryan, then you study who is it? Shem, Ham, and
Lot.
No, Japheth.
Jafar.
I think it's Japheth. Is that how you spell it? His third son name? Anyways, study those bloodlines and you'll realize there's a lot more going on than what.
Well, you're kind of. So one of the things that Bibi Netanyahu, the thing he's being criticized about is that Bibi Netanyahu, to stay in power, had to, remember, here's very
They were going to have a huge protest to get him out.
Well, here's what's because he wanted the Supreme Court to be subservient to, I believe, the sitting government. But here's what's interesting about all of this.
Study Japheth's lineage. You'll have some very interesting.
We'll study. We'll get into that. But what's really interesting is that. So in Israel, if you study Judaism, if you say I want to study Judaism, the state will support you and your children. You don't have to join the military. You don't have to work, but you can vote. So when you go to Israel, you will, and I've done this, you will see entire towns of Hasidim, of people that follow one rabbi who is a Talmudic scholar. They don't even follow the Old Testament. They do everything that this one guy says. And there's what's his name? They believe he's the Messiah. So there's a huge contingent. So they wear wigs, the women wear wigs, and it's a mess. But they are fanatics and they're biblical fundamentalists.
Yeah.
They make up a large part of the government. So for Bibi Netanyahu to stay in power, he had to align himself with that voting bloc.
Yeah.
Those people are the ones who believe in building settlements everywhere, including the West Bank. I went to the West Bank. I spoke to a lot of Palestinians because I got recognized there from The Hangover. And what was amazing was that, and this is very different than Gaza. They have their own authority and everything else, but man, oh man, you can, and I think I texted you from that wall. They live behind a very big wall. And since 2002 when Sharon started building it, but wow, when you see the sort of the simmering anger and frustration and humiliation. When you drive in Israel down those highways, there's a wall that will go on as long as the wall of China. Behind that wall is the West Bank. That is the guy, Lubavitch. Menachem.
Yeah, you know that guy's in some weird shit.
Sneers and that guy is considered. He has a huge following. Lubavitch. And
a lot of people call him the Matt Rife of Judaism.
That's right. And people in Brooklyn and in Israel, you see pictures of him all over Israel. They believe he is the actual Messiah. So they do everything he says, and it's just weird.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. So my whole thing is and always will be that I'm just don't want World War III.
Well, with you guys being religious scholars and what right now?
Oh, you know what? That was just completely
he has a question.
Uncalled for what you did right there. You just totally tried to discredit this wonderful conversation we had.
We are scholars. What was your question,
Unbelievable.
Dylan?
I love it like when people hear things they don't like to hear. Oh, so you're not a religious scholar. Like that was very,
I just can't believe that. I can't believe that a story that was written that long ago by unnamed authors, and clearly
very dismissive.
Is
tell me where I was wrong today. Tell me where I was wrong.
You're being too insulted by it. I was just joshing. You guys know a lot about this stuff, but is there a place for people who are or super pious people on government bodies? Because that portion of Israel has a good say in Congress.
Yeah, it does. But remember, Congress is run. We got a lot of very, very, very Christian people in our politics. I mean, very Christian.
Fun, yeah.
And who are aligned with the biblical idea that Israel is the homeland of the Jews. But remember how Christians feel about the Jews. Christians were the ones that killed the Jews, way more than the Arabs did.
What?
The great irony of that is that Christians killed far more Jews than actual Muslims did.
Where?
In Europe. I mean, the people that were persecuted
are you talking about the Nazis?
I'm talking about the Russian Orthodox Church. That was where the pogroms happened. Pogrom is a Yiddish / I think German name or Russian name. But far and away, the persecutors of the Jews were the Christians because the Jews, quote unquote, killed Christ. So that is really where, in fact,
when did that happen, Bryan? Was that during the Bolshevik War?
Before that, I would also remind people that the Jews found refuge from Christian persecution in Muslim countries because the Muslims believed the Jews were people of the book. And that's the irony of this. They pray to the same God.
Yeah, they all do.
It's Christ that was the heretic. So when Islam and Judaism talk about Christ, he was a prophet, but they're not going to tell you for a second he was God. That would be heretical. That would be haram. That would be, the idea behind that would be like you're being sacrilegious. So this is what's so interesting. Amos Oz, the great Israeli author, and Dove, left-wing author, said, and quoted as I always quote him. He said, "The way you beat a bad idea is with a better idea. Hamas is a bad idea. Come up with a better idea."
Bryan, I think you're very naive when it comes to that whole. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You just are very naive to that whole thing. There's so many videos, so many articles written about Netanyahu and Hamas. I mean, it's like this video I found. I wish we could play it sometime. It's an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah, sorry.
The inconvenient fact you're talking about is the fact that Israel back in the day needed They
created Hamas to counter the PLO.
And
then they funded it, and then supposedly, and I don't know if I believe it, Joe Biden sent Hamas $75 million. There's a lot of that being laid down.
What happened was, so the PLO was splintering into these armed factions that wouldn't listen to each other. And then they had a radical faction. And the Israelis said, let's support this faction because they're fighting with the PLO. And there was a long time when the PLO and Hamas
he basically
killed each other.
said, I'm going to fund them so I can control them.
Yeah, you divide and conquer. It's called divide and conquer.
We have this whole thing where it's like we create the problem so we can be the solution. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our friends at DraftKings. Listen, NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You start the season off with an instant dub. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at even bigger basketball wins. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code CSC. That's promo code CSC. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code CSC. That's DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code CSC. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800.net in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE-NEW YORK 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gamblers. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boo Hill Casinos and Resorts, KS, licensed partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, LA, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in ONT, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbookdraftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources.
I think it's always like blowback. It's like anything else. It's like you create a problem. You're trying to fix a problem, and you create another problem, right? And maybe, hey, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Here's a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Are we seeing in the Middle East and in this tiny sliver of the land, this holy land, are we starting to realize that maybe you can't bomb and shoot your way out of every problem?
Well, what?
It's a question.
We're not. You think we're learning that?
No. Well, I mean, is the population versus Washington, D.C.? That's a really good question. Well, I mean, here's all the... And I want to get into why I think Joe Biden wants World War III, but go on, Bryan, your thoughts.
I think Biden went to Israel and was told them, listen, don't start another war front in the north with Lebanon and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is the de facto player, the Iranian player in that region. Hezbollah takes all their orders from Iran. And the one thing that they don't want is to open up a multi-front war for Israel that the Americans have to get involved in.
Well, because what Biden says in public is the exact opposite of that.
Hezbollah has got real capabilities.
Well, that's the whole thing. We get told, Israel's the greatest intelligence agency, greatest military, and they're begging for us to come say, like, I have real issues with Ben Shapiro. I'm sorry. I'm tired of that little puppet begging, like, trying to blackmail us and like, hey, dude, get out of your air conditioning studio and go fight this war before you want me to send my kids to go die for your war. You go first, show me how it goes, and then I'll think about following up on that. Sorry about that. I'm really over it, dude. I'm like, my concern is like World War III and like, they want to drag us into this, man.
I don't think we're going to have World War III over this.
I don't know, Bryan. I mean, dude, if they have World War III, guess what happens? No elections. No elections. We won't have election. We won't have election in 2024.
Yeah, I was going to say, worst take ever. This looks so bad for Biden. All of this looks so bad for Biden. The Afghanistan... Afghanistan, you've got now that Israel.
A lot of people think there won't be a 2024 election. You know that, right?
Well, there will be, but there will be. But thank you. A lot of people think. Whenever Sam says,
the people have been right about everything, say there's going to be no 2024 election. This is my impression of
Sam. A lot of people think that Biden may be dead and the internet's dead. You're like, huh? Where do I go with this? And a lot of people think the chickens thank God is real. Now listen, Sam. Let's bring it back to reality.
Okay, all right. Brian, there's a lot of people think that during world wars, they suspend elections because they don't want to transfer power in the middle of a war.
There's not going to be a world war.
Brian, you can't say that.
I think this looks good on me.
I think it does look good on you. What doesn't look good on you is your retard takes you have right now.
What is the R word? What is the punitive measure that this show is going to take up against you, or if you are wrong about World War III? Because it clearly looks like that could be a possibility.
It's definitely not going to happen. Iran has zero interest in actually engaging. But, again, like this is all about scuttling. It's all about scuttling. You've got a Prince bin Salam, whatever his name is. He is very interested in getting Saudi Arabia off the petrodollar and creating a service / entertainment / financial / entertainment economy. He wants to bring us into and he's like, hey, Israel.
Who's we? Saudi Arabia?
Well, the young in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia also has an older generation like the king who are so deeply entrenched in the idea that this is the house of Islam. We are not making a deal with the Jews. But bin Salam doesn't give a shit. Women are driving. He's got a quarter where you have Victoria's Secret posters, and the investment in the House of Saud is becoming huge now. They're courting the NBA. They made a deal with the PGA.
I hope they buy all the boxing and make it one
It's
giant
unbelievable.
thing.
They're getting involved in all of it. So bin Salam is like, and by the way, if you would disagree with him, you have some problems. That guy is running the show.
Right.
And it's really interesting because he wanted to make a deal with Israel. And now if he made a deal with Israel, remember, he's got a quarter where you have Victoria's Secret posters, and the investment in the House of Saud is becoming huge now. They're courting the NBA. They made a deal with the PGA. I hope they buy all the boxing and make it one giant thing. the rest of the Gulf states, which are Sunni, would come along. Now Israel's got crazy Saudi and Gulf state money invested in them. And they're exchanging weaponry and everything else, intelligence. Now, where does that leave the Shia? Where does that leave Iran? Disaster.
Well, they've been meeting with Iran, too.
Yes, they were. They were meeting with Iran, but that was over. What was that over? I can't remember. That was they find out why Saudi and Iran was meeting, but that was a very different thing. Once Iran found out that this deal, and they should never have made it public, that this deal was going to be signed with Israel, they were like, that ain't happening. No way. No way. And it was just, you can say what you want about the Iran regime. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. This Hamas attack made all the sense in the world for them because they knew what would happen. They knew the Israelis would overreact or react and bomb buildings. You know what Iran and Hamas love? Pulling babies out of rubble with the cameras on. Yeah. Because the entire world turns on Israel.
Why did Japan attack Pearl Harbor?
What I'm saying,
why did Japan attack Pearl Harbor?
What I'm saying
because we cut their oil off. And did we know they were coming? 100%. Because Americans didn't want to go into World War II. So FDR allowed them.
You are just amazing. You really need to read some history. You just
what?
You think the West is to blame for all this stuff?
God, have mercy on your soul.
You think the West is to blame for everything?
On your soul in the comment section. Yeah. It's 100% true, Brian.
So the Japanese attacked us because we cut their oil off.
Yes.
That's why. Because the Japanese were not an expansive power.
What?
Talk to the Chinese about what the Japanese did in Manchuria.
That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, no, and of course not. The most ferocious killing of all time.
All right,
so what the Chinese did, talk to the Chinese and the Koreans about the Japanese.
Brian,
talk to them.
I'm going to see steam coming from your asshole.
Talk to the Chinese.
In the comments
talk to the Chinese and the Korean. Okay. And I traveled throughout that entire area. Talk to them about how they feel about the Japanese. Yeah. What are you talking about? You know how expansive the Japanese were? The Japanese had an expansionist policy. Yeah. They had an alliance with Germany.
We cut their oil off. They weren't getting oil.
That's not why they attacked us.
100%.
No, it's not, Sam.
100%.
They had an alliance with a guy named Hitler. I don't care what you bring up. They had an alliance with a guy named Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You got to read your history.
Yeah, you need to read your history books.
You got to read. You don't read now. You got to read.
Okay?
Then they made an alliance with Stalin.
The population of America did not want to go into World War II. We wanted to be isolationists.
Yes, I understand that.
FDR need us to get in, so they got intelligence that they cut off the oil to Japan, and they got intelligence that Japan was going to attack Pearl Harbor, and they let it happen.
So here's why I've heard this. I studied it.
Yeah, no, you didn't study it, Brian.
There was always a theory that
you literally just didn't study.
There was always a theory.
No, that's called what happened.
The Americans knew that the Japanese were coming to bomb them. What they did, if they did know that, which is actually debated among historians. I know you're a historian.
No.
I know you're a historian.
No,
and a scholar,
maybe you
but
at
Sam,
your essential oils gatherings.
Sam, it's still debated among historians, and most historians are skeptical. Okay? But I've read it. Now, if I may, kids, you should sit at my feet when I say this.
No, I will not sit at those feet, those hoofs.
In no way were the Americans looking to have, I think it was a quarter or was it a half of the American naval fleet crippled on a Sunday by the Japanese Air Force.
So
that would make no war sense. So Sam, you've got to be a little bit more accurate. What happened to Israel on October 7th, let's keep the Israeli-Palestinian thing away, was something that has destroyed Netanyahu's legacy. It killed 1,400, there's equivalent of about 20,000 Americans. It was their 9/11. So
well,
so either way,
and that the government knew it was happening.
30% of the U.S. Navy was based out of Pearl Harbor in 1941. So
look at that. Think about that. Wow.
Think about that.
I just said a third. You know, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
You know why?
33.
Because
are we gonna do? Hey, dude, it is. We're not gonna get the hot chick TikTok.
No, we're of course gonna.
Let's get the hot chick.
It's 11:03.
Let's get the hot chick TikTok.
Well, I wanted to bring up the thing.
Can I not win that, Brian?
Do I get to win this?
Brian, please never read the comment section. Okay, please. You are going to get so lit up. It's unbelievable.
People are not informed.
Yeah, okay, Brian.
Are you to put a nail in this? Are you suggesting? Are you really believing that Israel was the cause of this invasion?
Well, I think that Israel.
What do you mean, well?
What?
Yes or no?
Well,
do you think Israel?
Well,
I mean, do you think Israel? Do you think the government of Israel, Benny Gantz and Yaron, whatever his name is, like the people that run the military? You think that they and the Mossad? You think that they actually made this happen?
I think. Well, I mean, it's definitely possible.
No, it's not. It's definitely impossible.
It's definitely possible.
No, it's impossible. They're not a unified bunch.
Yeah.
They're always fighting.
Yeah. Okay.
Israel was practically on a low-grade civil war before this.
Okay.
So the idea that
which makes sense, right?
There's one
so
group
you
that
have
has
this
power.
giant event. Now everybody comes together, Brian. That's what happens all the time, Brian.
Yes, because,
all the time.
Because it made sense for
Brian,
Iran and Hamas to do that.
You refuse to look at history. You only see history through MSNBC.
No, I don't.
And CNN.
No, I don't watch
That's
that.
it.
I don't
you read
watch that.
textbooks
No.
written by people that lied to you.
I read
okay,
scholars.
No,
Scholars.
Brian. Scholars that get printed by people
are the
who push
laziest.
narratives. Brian.
You watch
have no clue the
Hollywood
history.
movies.
Okay.
You watch
have
Hollywood
no
movies.
clue the history,
You
Brian.
literally watch Hollywood
What
movies.
movie is talking about how governments allow
and they're bad
their own
Hollywood
assets
movies.
to be attacked so that
again-
they can do a heavy-handed response?
So again-
it is history, Brian.
No, it's not.
It is
no,
history.
it's not.
They allow these things to happen.
So Israel was the one who financed this and made this happen.
We all know that. We know.
We
that
do?
That Israel goes to Qatar to get them to fund Hamas. This is a fact, Brian. It is an uncomfortable fact that you don't like. We know Joe Biden sent Hamas money. These are facts, Brian.
So
you don't
Israel-
like these facts. That's okay. I can't handle you.
Israel wanted this to happen and orchestrated these attacks.
I'm
Is that what you're saying?
There could be an invisible hand at work. Yes,
I
am saying that.
You're truly
history has shown that.
You've now jumped the shark.
Nope, you jumped the shark.
You are
You
the
get eaten
dumbest.
by the shark.
That is the
You get
dumbest
fisted
shit.
by the shark.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, Brian.
It's so stupid. And if people actually believe that they're so dumb,
okay,
you guys are you have to be quiet, all of you.
Okay.
You all have to be quiet in the name of decency and truth and America and God.
You're right, Brian.
And I'm really
totally right. On 9/11,
all of you
the
people,
greatest air defense system.
All of you people who think
a couple Arabs flying a plane.
All of you people who think that
a
the
plane
United States
just has to go off 1 degree off its flight path.
All of you people who think the United States and Israel had something to do with 9/11 and with October 7th.
Wrap it up.
Should shut your mouths in the name of God, in the name of truth, in the name of decency, in the name of America.
Brian thinks the world.
You're so dumb. You're all so dumb.
Brian thinks the world's Autobots and Decepticons, good guys, bad guys.
You are truly out of your mind. You really need to do some work.
You are the smartest dumb person I know.
You need to read.
You are so smart and stupid.
You just said on this podcast and publicly that Israel actually was the one who orchestrated the attack.
Nope, never said that, Brian.
Yes, he did.
No, I did not say that, Brian.
It's always the invisible hand of some Jew.
Invisible.
Oh,
listen to this guy. There we go, Brian. You're even making half a Jew uncomfortable.
You have actually jumped the shark.
You have jumped the shark,
it's
Brian.
Incredible.
Brian, what was the name of the Israeli prime minister?
I cannot see.
What was the name of the Israeli prime minister who got assassinated? What's his name?
Yitzhak Rabin.
Okay. Do you know if you listen to that video, if you actually listen to his video, if you listen,
Shimon Peres. He was.
Is this Shimon? I thought it was
by Goldstein, who was a Jewish national.
Yeah. If you actually listen to the video of it going down, you can hear people yelling, "Bibi is a murderer." You can actually hear that happen.
Bibi was really not liked by the Dove party. But he was also, his career was over. Twice. Bibi is a political animal. He's not liked by a lot of people. I'm not defending Bibi.
You are.
And I'm not defending Bibi. I'm not defending the right-wing government of Israel. I'm not defending any of that. I don't get involved in that. Remember, I told you that.
Brian,
what I'm saying is that
your inability to accept, that things are gray. And you think everything is black and white.
And some things aren't. Sam.
And it's so easy for you to blame Iran and not think that the government.
Sam, when you kidnap babies and you do the kinds of things that they did.
Can we move on with this?
It's
God,
not great. It's not great.
When did Rachel Maddow show up?
It's not gray.
When did that? Don Lemon over here.
You are actually I
love that some babies have value for you and other babies
Your ignorance
don't.
is so blinding, it's incredible.
All life is precious, Bryan.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, Bryan. Unbelievable, this guy.
Here we go with the platitudes. You just say, you got to stop talking words in the air, because what happens is it becomes sand, and I literally can't see. Like, I have sand in my eyes.
Go on. What's it?
Well, let's see hot girl TikTok.
Bryan, you ring
in the
bell.
name of truth, God, and decency.
We've never had two things be more polar opposite. Bryan's view of how he's doing versus the comment section.
The best thing that can happen to the Palestinian people is getting rid of Hamas.
Oh, you are so dumb, Bryan.
Because they're not the Palestinians' friend either.
Okay.
All right.
Oh my
Here's
God.
the truth and decency once again. One more time.
What is
and guys,
this show?
keep your eyes on the prize.
Show? Bryan is so lost. It's so insane.
All right. Something that
Bryan, did you send out a thoughts and prayers to the governor of Michigan's family under this sad kidnap attempt? Did you also send that out and didn't think that entire thing was?
I do find myself shaking my head and praying, but not for her.
Okay, go
not
on.
For Governor Whitman.
I love you so much.
Okay. Something that I think can mend the brotherhood that you two have for one another.
Yes.
Is Hot Girl.
Guys, welcome to Hot Girl TikTok, or this is Hot Girl YouTube. But these are videos where we just watch hot chicks give conspiracies.
We started rolling out digital ID cards last week.
You will have on your iPhone in a digital form. It entails just about everything the government would like to know about you. And yesterday in the Dutch media, we saw a perfect example of what it could entail in the near future. We had the CEO of one of the largest Dutch banks say, why don't we start with a personal carbon credit? A carbon wallet, she called it, actually. Yeah. So right in line with the plans that the World Economic Forum people have for us.
They're all hot.
And she said it in a way that was particularly funny. She said, well, if everyone gets an individual personal carbon credit, why don't we make it so that rich people who, for example, want to go on holiday a little too often can buy personal carbon credit from other people who, for example, can't afford.
That's it.
Well, that's called
that was
trade
everything.
We've been doing that for a long time. Trade and cap. Can you bring her up under other pictures of her? Because she's a legal philosopher and she looks like that. She's from Holland. That's
Bryan. You don't care what she's saying.
No, I do
have
care.
no reaction to what she's saying. You're just talking with your boners.
We've been doing that though with countries. So what happens is, you know what a trade and cap is for pollution. So you get certain pollution credits. I get.
So Bryan, would you say that makes the whole carbon credit thing all bullshit? Would you agree on that?
No. So there's a whole marketplace.
Bryan, but would you say that it would make climate change bullshit? Would you agree on that? The fact that I could buy your credits to cover up my pollution, do you think that means you're bullshit? Does that mean? Do you think that means it's bullshit, Bryan?
Take the sand out of my eyes. What? No. I would say this, Sam. So I don't know about. I'm not going to talk about global warming because
Bryan, do you understand? Even though I have major problems with him as a human being, Dr. Shiva has a complete other video breaking down why the whole Paris Climate Accord was just total bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's probably complete bullshit.
And what she's talking about, and this woman is complete garbage.
But Sam, she was only saying this, like, so in countries, so you get a certain amount of credit scores, right? I'm sorry, you get a certain amount of pollution you can emit. They all sign this agreement, right? If you don't produce as much pollution, you have credits.
Yeah, but
right,
Bryan,
so wait, and then you can sell those to another country. So the country buys them.
Do you not see how that's beyond ridiculously stupid? Do you understand why that just means the whole thing?
It created a market.
Yeah, but Bryan, it doesn't cause anybody to stop polluting. I agree. It just causes you to buy more credits.
I agree 100%.
From the who? The Club of Rome.
Yeah, I agree. Well, no. From the financial
The Club
markets.
of Rome.
No, from the
Club of Rome.
The financial
The Club of Rome.
No, the financial markets.
The Club of Rome.
No, I agree. I agree that the
so
climate
what she's saying
change
is,
policies
Bryan, do you know that during the Civil War?
Holy shit, though, Sam.
Oh, my God. Look at those. That's just Bryan's.
And she's
every
brilliant.
Instagram picture of Bryan at an event with his wife hanging out with people like that. Every picture.
Well, yeah, I run with
you.
I need to get her in my circle.
You run with great
I see
angles.
more pictures of her, please.
But Bryan, do you understand that that where we see this before? The Civil War. The Civil War basically allowed, or I think it was the Civil War, I think it was, where the rich people could pay poor people to go fight the war for them. Like, don't you have a major problem with that?
We do that now, right? I mean, we outsource war to our working class.
Yeah, that's
people.
my problem with Ben Shapiro. He wants our kids to come die for his cause. You should go fight, Ben.
Yeah, one of the things I was noticing when I watch a lot of these really smart people on podcasts with their opinions is that,
what about me? I'm smart.
Well, let's not get carried away. But the scholars, they don't have dirty hands. Yeah. They never really done the thing. So when you say we got to send our special
Ben
forces,
Shapiro's getting a pedicure. Why he's bitching
I
about
talked to some tip of the spear guys, some real guys who do special forces stuff, and I said, going into Gaza, and he goes, dude, house to house, you have no idea what a nightmare that is. He goes, you don't even understand how difficult, just stepping over all that rubble, just that. People don't realize how dangerous that is. The holes that, like, people think that you can just send in a team of assassins and kill the bad guys when you have an area the size, 3 times the size of DC, with 2.3 million people. Like, what are you talking? You know how hard that is?
Dylan, did I send you the video of the Israeli hostage talking about how she got treated?
There's 150 to 300 miles of tunneling there as well.
Jesus,
I sent you that.
Was she treated well?
She said they showed her kindness. They realized she had high anxiety.
Yep.
They protected her. They eased her things. They're like, I'm just telling you, Bryan.
Yeah, there was a lot of...
There's an information war going on right now. Okay?
Yes.
And like, again, love Jews. I have a lot of Israelis friends. Israel is losing this information war.
Yeah, well, war has its propaganda, right, on both sides.
Right.
War has
the problem is that, like, now they openly are not afraid to lie. Before they got away with it because people were too trusting.
Yeah.
Now people like myself and people who I call intelligent, like, level-headed people like myself have seen their game book, their playbook.
Yeah.
We see the plays that they do,
Yeah, I think that sometimes, like, there was a lot of credible information that, the beheading of babies was a story and not.
Well, now we're also hearing the chemical weapons thing brought up again. Just like let's not even get into Saddam Hussein. Let's get into the red line, rat line, where Obama was trying to tell everybody that Assad was using chemical weapons against his own people. When the UN rushed in there, did the testing, goes, this is not Assad's chemicals. Oh, this was most likely from when we illegally assassinated Muammar Gaddafi. This is his chemical weapons that ISIS was using, and they're on our payroll. Fun times. Next video.
Yeah.
Wow. I think
this is a great episode.
Oh, and thank you to the great Matt French for sending in Hot Girl.
Thank you, Matt.
That wasn't TikTok. That was a smart legal scholar who
we're happy with all videos, but please.
That's a girl who just lived on milk straight from the cow and lives on a Dutch farm where they eat berries, drink the purest of milk, and bathe in cold water streams.
Spring water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, you look at her and you go, you look like you come from the farm that they paint on Land O'Lakes butter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she spends her time frolicking through fields of wheat.
But she doesn't eat Land O'Lakes because Land O'Lakes isn't butter.
Well, she eats the finest. She churns her own butter.
Yeah.
She frolics through the fields of wheat that she then grinds herself. That's how she stays in shape, by making food for her Dutch man.
Okay.
When not studying legal scholarship.
I don't think that Bryan can handle more of you today. Period.
Yeah. I mean, Bryan has a condition. It's called retinophobia. And it's basically an allergic reaction to meanie facts.
Well, Sam can't understand that there are other factors besides
when Bryan
the
was
West.
a young man, he got molested by facts.
Yeah, but Sam can't
every
understand.
Time he sees
Sam
facts,
can't
he gets
accept
sad.
that not all evil is caused by the CIA and Mossad. Sam can't understand that there are other countries that have their way of doing things too.
Okay.
So, like, Sam thinks that every bad situation is because of the CIA and Mossad. Literally, he blames everything on that, and he traces it all the way back to the people that killed Jesus, I think.
Bang!
So that's literally what he says.
Oh my God!
I mean, that is Sam's insane
You totally
logic.
got it.
Yeah, I know I did.
Yeah,
I know.
They're called the Black Nobility.
Oh, I know. I know. The Black
and they're out of
Nobility.
where? Switzerland.
Yeah. Which are which if you really trace the Black Nobility all the way back, they're the ones that killed Jesus.
Yeah.
Which is another way of saying Jews.
No, because actually, who killed him, Brian? The Romans. The Jews didn't kill him.
No, the Jews.
The Romans killed him.
Brian, don't say the Jews killed Jesus. It was more complicated than this.
Yeah, Brian, that's the problem with Brian. Brian likes his facts in a Sesame Street format.
No, I don't believe in conspiracies that blame the Jews.
No, but literally, you're the only one blaming the Jews here. I'm not. I said it was the Romans.
I just said what your entire thing was. Pontius Pilate, who was, I believe, the Roman governor, read the Bible. He says, I'm washing my hands of this. He said, I don't see that this guy did anything worth crucifying. And he said to the Jewish elders.
The bankers.
And so that's in the Bible.
By the way, did he get wrong? Did Jesus get wrong about usury? Nope. Anyways, guys, great show. I crush. You know, when you go to bed tonight, you get on your knees, do a little prayer for Brian's butthole. It is going to get lit up, man. This episode and the comment section should be featured on Adam 22's OnlyFans because there's going to be so many violations of holes going on. It's like Leah the Plug and Brian's butthole after the most ridiculous stuff said today. Brian.
So, guys, very important as an older man who reads. Please learn the meaningful difference between things. Okay. And please understand that there is not a moral equivalent to certain acts. And please understand that some things sometimes people do. They put them in their own category of barbarism.
Brian thinks some babies are precious and others are not.
No, that's not.
100%.
That's not
That's
true.
Brian's whole theory.
That's not
some
true.
babies are God-given. Other babies are just disposable.
You have trouble drawing distinctions, which is very common for a simpler mind.
I'm on Team Humanity.
What you'll see with people like
Brian,
Sam,
good guy, bad
who don't
guy,
like to think
Autobots,
deeply,
Decepticons.
People who don't like to think deeply like Sam will say, well, that's just like this. The difference.
I'm pro Autobots.
Intelligent people like myself,
Decepticons.
thoughtful scholars like myself, and I am a scholar, not just an athlete and a lovemaker, but I'm also a scholar. We will always highlight the meaningful difference between things. Read widely, read deeply, and you will make the difference. Don't watch the movie.
No.
Why
Why are you doing that?
Because he knows.
I won. Go to samtripoli.com, grab some dates, and we love you very much. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed doing it. It's good stuff.
When people ask, is everything a conspiracy? The answer is yes.
Who and what is controlling everything and why? They practice sorcery. I can't argue against magic.
I don't know what it is that we live on, but I believe it's a realm. This realm that we live in is the lowest level of heaven, highest level of hell.
Chicken snake gods and the Anunnaki and sorcery. If Sam says the chicken and snake god is running everything, I'm literally in the world of crazy. I'm winning.
You're losing.
Conspiracy Social Club, a.k.a. Deep Waters.